As inflation continues to rage, a perfect trifecta of influence, both external and internal, are going to push crypto and NFTs to heights previously only dreamed of. I believe this market is about to absolutely melt faces with the amount of gains, and most likely the people who will be the most disappointed are those who sell too early. What we see here is a really key and important metric here, which is stagflation, which is, of course, as Maya Zahavi says, anyone remember how many times we were told it was just transitory, yet looming winter with soaring energy costs sets up a classic trilemma: inflation, employment, or growth. And essentially they're going to have to pick which ones they prioritize, because the reality is that if you want employment or growth, you're going to have to probably sacrifice the need to stave off inflation. That means we're going to need to print. And in my opinion, I've predicted this since early 2020 that there will be no end to the printing, if only transitory, claims that everything costs zero. It's pretty infuriating to try to have someone tell you that $3.5 trillion has no cost. But of course, we're staring down the barrel of a reality where $3.5 trillion is starting to actually cost zero. Little by little, it'll happen, little by little. But in that process, the things that will become invaluable are hard-capped assets with utility in the monetary networks of tomorrow. And that's why we're doing precisely what we're doing right now, which is pushing forth the revolutions that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, NFTs, blockchain gaming, and of course, so much more. And I wanted to talk before I get into more specifics here about this statement here by DC Investor. He says, yes, it's easier to identify what is already expensive and will be even more valuable and important tomorrow than to accurately determine what is cheap today and what will be more valuable and important tomorrow. Accept this and find your own alpha. Now, the reality is that this is something that I have been communicating on this channel for as long as I can remember. Finding the gems, finding the lower cap opportunities, and to potentially allocate to the projects that could have this transformational growth. There's zero doubt that getting into blue chips early is the absolute Jedi mind trick, wizardly art of detaching yourself completely from the financial shackles of a 9-to-5 and eventually being able to go full-time crypto, focusing on wealth mastery and simply growing your stack. Today we're talking about something so astoundingly crazy that you would have to see the data to believe it. But because of its accuracy, because of its consistency, it has infiltrated and penetrated even the most data-driven and grounded Bitcoin analysts among us. Today, smash that like button, because we're going to be talking about if lunar cycles can accurately predict the price of Bitcoin. Now, this might sound crazy to you, but if there is any way to get an edge in this market, even if it is exploring seemingly crazy cosmic indicators like lunar cycles, well, guess what? We're going to explore that segment of the industry, because we don't care where the alpha comes from. We're here to bring you any and all things that can help you get ahead of this market. Yes, traders have a Batman's utility belt worth of tools and indicators at their disposal. But what if there was a different indicator? What if there was a single indicator that could reliably show macro pivots in the market? Now, as crazy as this sounds, there is some data here suggesting that the lunar cycles have been accurately predicting Bitcoin's price movements over the last several months to honestly astoundingly accurate levels. Now, first of all, what are lunar cycles? According to the research, lunar cycle strategy is based on buying the new moon and selling the next full moon. So essentially, the new moon initiates a bullish pivot and the full moon initiates a bearish pivot. That is more or less in every 2-week cycle that we've seen playing out over the last several months. Now, there are plenty of debates, of course, that have taken place as to whether or not this is actually effective. However, depending on the stock index, the difference in return of the new moon phase is as high as 10% on average. If you look at SPY, you'll see that trading on lunar cycles could actually benefit the trading signal reverse points and times of potential volatility, like the SPY drop on 9/6, for example. These are research papers and studies done on it. There's even a trading view indicator. So as you can see here, it's pretty remarkable when you see here the buying pattern here on the white and the selling on the gray being the full moon and the white being the new moon. It's pretty astronomical, to use a cosmic term here. You can see these price rallies each and every time up to the full moon. It's pretty crazy. Believe it or not, lunar patterns are fairly accurate when it comes to Bitcoin. In fact, some of these patterns have successfully outperformed regular trading patterns. We have here Paul X saying the Bitcoin lunar cycle traders are outperforming everybody. Red, new moon equals sell. Purple, full moon equals buy. This is funny ASF. And here you could see if you were to buy the purple and sell the red, you'd consistently be making really, really good money. It's really crazy. The TA is pointed up, way up. And for that reason, when Bitcoin moves in dramatic and bullish fashion, it sets the stage for one of the biggest wealth creation events known to human history, and that is altcoin season and what we will come to know as the slingshot of the NFTs. And apparently we've been hearing word leaking from insiders in the crypto industry that there are some massively green flags on the horizon. Everyone needs to reach over and grab their seatbelt right now. Make sure it is firmly fastened, because I believe we are in for an extremely bumpy and extremely healthy ride to the top. This is going to be insane and quite possibly could be that main super cycle that we've been waiting on and fixated on for years and years now. Speaking of green flags and fundamentally bullish news, we finally have word that Polkadot season is upon us. This is, in my opinion, one of the biggest changes to the ecosystem, as Polkadot is some of the most compelling technology that has ever entered this industry. What Polkadot promises is a series of interconnected blockchains all offloading transactions to each other, much in the way that we've seen Cosmos promise this. However, Polkadot can work with existing blockchains like Ethereum, helping them grow and scale and interact with each other. EVM compatible chains that we've been promised like Moonbeam and Akala, and many first movers here on Polkadot. And because of how hard it is to secure parachains, it's very clear that those projects will have a protective moat, a very rare protective moat here in crypto land. As first movers in the DOT ecosystem, I expect fully for those early projects to completely fly. And nothing summarizes my feelings about NFTs more than this, which is that we've been living in a prehistoric era for NFTs. Just one marketplace, all on Web3, all on MetaMask, no centralized exchanges to speak of, and now we're about to get Coinbase with 70 million wallets. For the first time, being able to invest in digital, unique assets, the collections that are coming to literally reshape the way that we interact with each other. And soon, the most important gaming assets will be easily accessible on Coinbase's marketplace to 70 million wallets. Once again, the words from Little Birds are saying that not just one, but multiple Bitcoin ETFs are stilted for approval this month. What sounded like absolutely ridiculous speculation just days ago is starting to be global FOMO. People are salivating over this news. And if you don't realize how big this is, you're not paying attention. First, it's going to be futures, like we've been telling you for weeks on this channel, and it was going to happen this exact week. This isn't supposition. This is incredibly high quality information from people in the industry that know what they're talking about, insiders here. And that's why I'm trying to give you this information first so you can get ahead of these trends. We now have Valkyrie updating their Bitcoin futures ETF prospectus, which typically only happens when the ducks are in a row and ready for launch. He says they've added their ticker, BTF, although no fee still. He says you can't say this is a done deal type evidence, but good sign in my opinion. This is Eric Balkunas, who's the senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg and a dad, so he knows what he's talking about here. Now, looking at Bitcoin right now, essentially it has $1 trillion market cap. It's estimated that upwards of $10 trillion will be brought in by a Bitcoin ETF in the United States, and so knowing that there's a crazy multiplicative effect on Bitcoin's market cap for every new dollar of real cap, let's just say that it's a 2x for every dollar. It's more like 20, but let's just say that Bitcoin works its way up to the $1 trillion market cap. Well, we know that Bitcoin dominance is slowly going down as well. So if we see Bitcoin dominance in the 25% dominance ratio here at a maybe $20 trillion market cap over the next 10 years, well, that looks like we'll be looking at an $80 trillion global crypto market cap. But the reality is that we're seeing that this is so early, and that this month is going to be a major catalyst. So if you don't have your bets allocated already, you're missing out, and you're going to be trailing and chasing one of the biggest trends instead of getting ahead of it, like we've been trying to help you do on this channel since 2018. Oh yes, it's happened. This is, by all means, a historic day here in crypto land. Need to put on a fan for this one because it is getting absolutely blazing hot here in Bitcoin and crypto land. I heard very credible information months ago that a Bitcoin ETF was coming. I gave you that information. I told you that this was unlike the other times. This was unlike the years that we've been hearing Bitcoin ETF might be approved. You see, when you have amazing information and you share it with your community with the singular goal of enriching them with knowledge, we're going to create something completely magical here. I know that if I empower you with the skills to crush this market and then give you the tools to completely disrupt the legacy system, we will completely crush it here. All right, let's dive in here. We have the story of the day, the story of the year maybe, which is that we have the very first ETF, Bitcoin ETF here, and it's been approved. This is, of course, from the SEC, official documentation here. And this means that for the first time in history, we now have a regulated on-ramp from the traditional stock markets into Bitcoin. Now, it's very clear that this is just a first step. This is a crawl, but this is a regulatory green flag here. Like I said, that puts the writing on the wall. What's coming next is a full unbridled bull market, a regulated market for cryptocurrency. How much Bitcoin is wrapped on Ethereum? It's billions and billions of dollars. I think it's 1 or 2% of all the Bitcoin is on Ethereum. So it's crazy the amount of catalyst of new liquidity that's entering the market for every single chain, every single token. Ethereum's going to go bananas. Bitcoin's going to go bananas. Every single altcoin is going to go bananas, including probably banana. Anyway, the point is that right now is the most critical time. The level of debt, the level of money printing, the level of inflation. These are factors that pretty much only Satoshi had predicted, right? This is the Bitcoin wet dream of surrounding factors. So if you guys can appreciate how historic it is to be getting a Bitcoin ETF approval, this here is a moment in history, a splitting of time before and after, where we see the SEC in the United States making a statement that Bitcoin is an asset that is okay to own, that is okay to invest in, and that big regulated entities can now flow. If you were here, then you are not only early, you're prehistoric. They're gonna look at these times and say, oh my God, do you remember those weirdos that were trading crypto before anybody even knew it was legal? That's what we are, is the people who predicted the future. You're here now, and I want you to know the people who come next are probably gonna be in a little bit of hot water because there's gonna be a lot of volatility at the top here.